So today we're going to show you how to fit your Renegades. Talina here needs a bit of a trim, so she's got some length and a little bit longer toe than I normally would like her to have. So I'm going to see if her Renegades fit her today. And I've just vet wrapped her fetlock so that you can see more clearly. Alright, so they go on nicely, and it's the right size shell for her. You can see that, and you can see how the center of the boot lines up with her sulcus. And there's no movement, no clunking around of the boot. So that's what you're looking for. But the problem is when I go to put the heel captivator up, you see it doesn't go all the way, and she'd be walking on that. So I now need to lengthen these cables for this to fit her. So when you buy your Renegade boots, they come with this little Ziploc bag. Inside is directions on how to lengthen your cables, shorten your cables, adjust your straps, and just generally how to install the boot. So there's this little helper. There's also some YouTube videos you can refer to, or this one. So inside the bag is replacement toe straps. So that's these front ones here. There's also extra O-rings in case you lose the little keepers on a ride. So there's a whole bunch of those for you. And then there's this little tiny Allen key here. Now this is what you need to adjust the length of your cables or replace cables on your boot. If you find that you're doing it a lot, you may want to upgrade to this tool, which is much easier to handle. This is also available through Equine Solutions, and you can order it when you get your boots or at another time. So I'm going to use this guy here because it's so much easier. So we just pop this into the bottom hole and push until it exposes the set screws inside the button. And then if you think you're going to have a hard time with these or you're not sure, sometimes I recommend spraying a little WD-40 into around the set screws so that you don't strip them by accident. Because if you strip them, you have to cut the cables to get the whole thing apart and it becomes costly. So a little bit of WD-40 if you need it. And then lefty-loosey. Now don't lose the set screws. So put them somewhere like in the bag or not on the barn floor or in the dirt because they tend to get missing that way. And then we want to push the button back in. Okay, so my screws are right here. Put the button back in again. Now, on your cables, there's little bits of paint that mark out how long the cables are. There's a little black mark here. These boots are about 3 years old, so they don't show it quite as well. But I can see how long the cable is, and I'm just going to move the black mark out a little bit more. So if I want to make them longer, I can just wiggle until the black mark moves down to the next window between the next dots. If it's really sticky, you can use a pair of pliers to just pull the cable. Sometimes you get a bit of bulging, don't worry about that right now. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. You can see I'm going to have to replace this cable soon. It's starting to fray. If I didn't have every cable in stock at my house, I would be phoning Equine Solutions right now to be ordering more. But since I have them at home, I'm not too worried about it, and I rarely use these boots. They're more of a loaner pair. So we're going to lengthen this side. Now, if your paint is worn off your wire, what you can do is turn the boot over, and then you can center your wires by using the heel captivator. So you can see it's further here. So I can just move this one out until they're pretty even. You can kind of mess with that a little bit. Maybe a tiny bit more on this frayed side. Good. Perfect. Okay, so that should probably work for her. So now I'm going to put the screws back. Hopefully they haven't been dug into the dirt by your horse's foot or something while you've been lengthening the cables. So righty-tighty, here we go. They have to be really snug, but you don't want to strip the screws, so be very careful about that. If you've been using your boots a lot and they're dirty, maybe just give the set screws a little wipe off with the damp toothbrush first so that you don't grind more dirt into this area and strip the screws. So my screws are down all the way. I push the button back in again, and now I'm ready to retry this on Lena. And to put the boot on, what I'm going to do is just push the heel captivator back, open the toe strap. So now everything is nice and open. Foot. And then we're going to slide it on. Make sure her toe goes all the way in and that it's straight by lining up that center mark with her sulcus. And then we're going to pull up the heel captivator. Now you can see how much more room there is, and now there's a little bit of a void here. That's what you're looking for. It's an articulated boot, so it moves with the horse. So we want this space. All right, place the foot down, finish adjusting the heel captivator, and then we're going to do up the top strap, leaving 2 finger width in between, and then lightly do up the bottom strap. And then you can tuck in to your O-rings if you like. Now, usually I would put this boot on her right foot because then the Velcro won't catch the Velcro from the other boot. But for demo purposes, this is how it worked out. So now you can cleanly see that that heel captivator is up off the ground. She's not going to be walking on it. You can also see, even though she's very long and in need of a trim, that her wall is touching the periphery of the boot and that the boot isn't clunking around against her hoof as she's moving. So if we pick it up, we can see how it's nice and snug and fitting her quite well. Couple little things. If I saw this on a client, not only would I tell them their horse needs a trim, but also to replace the neoprene here because there's some wear, and to replace this cable here because there's wear on that. I don't know if you can see, but there's also a wear patch here on the inside of the boot. That's from a horse who borrowed them and didn't move very evenly. So what I may do is take my rasp to the boot to try to even it out so that her foot isn't always tilted to the inside. That's all, and happy booting!